In the ongoing series of emotional intelligence, today we are discussing on the different approaches of measurement of emotional intelligence. Now we will be discussing the mixed method approach. Mixed method approach integrates the quantitative tools, that is standardized test, psychometric test, with the qualitative techniques, that is the interview, focus groups and observations, to evaluate the emotional intelligence. This combination provides a very comprehensive and multidimensional understanding of an individual emotional competencies. By merging the measurable data of the quantitative methods with the contextual depth of the qualitative insights, mixed method approaches ensures a more balanced and nuanced evaluations. These methods are particularly useful and as a result they are widely applied in the domains such as the leadership development, education, healthcare, organizational behavior and the counseling. When understanding both the performance metrics and the behavioral dynamics is very critical. Mixed method approach evaluates the emotional intelligence by combining the quantitative assessment, that is standardized tools that provide the measurable scores for the specific EI domains, for example, self-awareness, empathy and the stress management. Then we have the qualitative techniques, that is in depth methods such as interviews, observations and the case studies that explore the contextual and experimental aspects of EI. Now, this integration creates a very holistic assessment capturing both the measurable competencies and the nuanced ways the individual apply these skills in the real life situations. Now, how mixed method approaches work? Mixed method approaches involve a step-by-step process that ensures a structured and the comprehensive evaluation. Then we have a quantitative phase, that is, it provides the objective and measurable data on the EI, and the tools used are EQI and the test. Now, as far as the measuring of the competencies like stress management, interpersonal skills and adaptability is concerned, emotional quotient inventory is used, whereas for the test we have MSCEIT, that is which evaluates the abilities like perceiving and managing the emotions. Now, coming on to the outcomes. The quantitative scores highlight the strength and the weakness in the specific EI dimensions, and it explores the nuances, experiences and the contextual application of emotional intelligence. Now, the approaches which are used here are interviews, focus groups and observations. The interviews, it discusses how the individuals perceive and apply their emotional competencies. Then about the focus group, it gathers the perspective from the peer, subordinates or the team members about the individual emotional impact, and also the observation which assesses the behavior in the real life or the simulated scenarios or a teacher interacting with the students. The outcomes is that the qualitative insights reveal a deeper understanding real life applications and the behavioral patterns. In case of the integration of the data, quantitative and the qualitative findings are synthesized to form a comprehensive profile of emotional intelligence. The quantitative results provide a measurable benchmarks, while qualitative insights add the depth and the context. Now, as far as the quantitative tools are concerned, it helps in focusing on generating the objectives, replication of the scores for EI competencies like for example self-awareness, empathy, STORE, stress tolerance and the problem solving. The examples that EQI 2.0, it offers a numerical breakdown of EI scores and the 15 competencies, whereas MSCEIT assesses the ability to recognize the use, understand and manage the emotions. There are some qualitative techniques which are also very important, which captures the subjective experience and the contextual nuances of EI. Like examples and techniques, the first is interviews, explore the personal experience and emotional coping strategies. The focus group, it discusses the observed emotional competencies of an individual in the group settings. There are some observations like real-time evaluation of the emotional intelligence in action, for example, leader managing conflict. Then we have data integration, which combines the measurable data with the behavioral insights to identify the patterns, align the perception and create the targeted development plans. Now we have the examples here assessing a team leader emotional intelligence, An organization uses the mixed method approach to evaluate the EI of a team leader, that is Rajesh. The goal is to assess the Rajesh's ability to manage the stress, resolve the conflicts, and manage the strong team relationships. This is a step 1, that is quantitative assessment. Rajesh takes the EQI, which measures the EI across the 5 domains, the stress management, which scores the high, indicating the strong emotional resilience under the pressure, and the interpersonal relationship, that is scoring moderately, suggesting a need to strengthen the team connections. Now coming on to the empathy, scores low, highlighting the challenge in understanding others' emotional intelligence, and step 2 is the qualitative techniques. The team members shared that Rajesh often prioritized the deadlines over the team morale, leading to the feeling of neglecting during a high pressure situation. So these observations, that is during a team meeting, Rajesh demonstrates the excellent problem solving skills but interrupts the subordinate when they voice the concern, reflecting a low empathy. Now, in terms of the data integration, the quantitative findings, the stress management is a strength, empathy is a weakness. Then qualitative insights, while Rajesh performs well under the pressure, his lack of empathy impacts the team morale during the stressful periods. A personalized coaching plan is created to improve the Rajesh active listening and empathy during the team interactions. So, the scenario is that evaluating a teacher's EI for the classroom management. A school wants to assess the emotional intelligence of a teacher to enhance the classroom management and the student engagement. Ms. Sharma completes the MSc EIT scoring high in perceiving the emotions and moderate in managing the emotions. So, indicating that she can accurately recognize the student's emotion, and the moderate in managing emotion showrooms for improvement in regulating the emotions during the conflict. And low in the social awareness means it suggests that there are some challenges in understanding the group dynamics, which is very, very alarming. And there is a qualitative technique, that is the classroom observations. The observations note that Ms. Sharma addresses the individual student's concern effectively but struggle to manage the disruptions during the group activities. There is a focus group with the students. The student report that while Ms. Sharma is approachable one-on-one, they feel overlooked during the collaborative task. The integrated findings, that is Ms. Sharma, strengthens the lie in the individual interactions, but her ability to manage the group dynamics requires attention. So, these training sessions on the group facilitation and inclusive teaching strategies are introduced. So, the real world applications, that is a corporate leadership, a senior executive EI is evaluated using EQI for quantitative insights, and also the follow-up interviews with the peer and subordinates for the qualitative perspectives. Then the qualitative results show high scores in decision making but moderate scores in empathy. What is the outcome? The coaching focuses on improved empathic communication during the team changes. The example is that a hospital assessment nurses EI using the MSEIT and the patient feedback. The quantitative results indicating a very strong emotional regulation, but qualitative insights reveal the challenges in empathizing with the patient's families. So, the workshops on emotional educational institutions, that is the mixed method approaches, are used to evaluate the teacher's EI through standardized tests, classroom observations, and the student focus groups. The quantitative results highlight a very strong stress management, while qualitative feedback undercovers the gap in handling the group dynamics. There is an outcome of tailored training programs which addresses these gaps. So, advantages of the mixed method approach is that comprehensive assessment combines the measurement data with the nuanced insights for a balanced evaluation, then enhanced validity and contextual understanding. The actionable outcomes, that is, which provides detailed recommendations for the targeted interventions. Now we are discussing some challenges of mixed method approaches, that is collecting, analyzing and integrating the data from the multiple methods. It requires a significant time, and the demand expertise in the administration and interpretation of both quantitative and the qualitative tools. So, integrating the findings from the different methods can be challenging without clear framework, and evaluator biasness, that is the qualitative evaluation such as interviews, may be influenced by the personal biases. Now, coming on to the strategies to overcome the challenges. The first is the streamlined processes, use the digital tools for efficient data collection, expert training, train evaluators in qualitative methods to ensure the reliability, the clear objectives, define the clear goals to focus the assessment on the relevant competencies, then iterative implementations, that is conduct periodic mixed method assessments to track the progress and refine the strategies. So, mixed method approaches provide a most comprehensive and nuanced way to evaluate the emotional intelligence by integrating the quantitative measurements with the qualitative insights. So, these methods capture not only what the individuals can do, but also how they apply their skills in the context. The resource incentives, the benefits of actionable, well-rounded evaluations far outride the challenges. When implemented effectively, mixed method approaches drive personal development, enhance the organizational performance, promote the emotional intelligence practices across the diverse fields. So, now coming on to the observer rate assessments. Observer rate assessments are an effective method for evaluating the emotional intelligence. EI, by relying on the trained observers to evaluate an individual emotional competencies in the real world interactions or the simulated scenarios. Unlike the self-reports or the peer feedback, these assessments are conducted by the impartial observers. Using the structured evaluation framework, this particular approach captures the observable behavior, providing external validation and identifying the patterns that might not emerge in the self-assessment, and the observer-rated assessments are particularly valuable in the high-stakes settings such as the leadership development, customer service, healthcare and education, where the emotional intelligence directly impacts the performance and the outcomes. Now, the observer-rated assessments evaluate the emotional intelligence based on direct observations of behavior. The trained observer assesses the emotional competencies such as the empathy, conflict resolution and communicating using the structured framework. Then we have the standardized criteria and the scoring systems, observing the workplace interaction of the role-playing exercises. Now, there are some simulations control environment designed to mimic the real life challenges. This method focuses on the actual behavior, making it highly objective and reliable when performed by the skill evaluators. How the observer rated assessments work. Observer rated assessments follow a structure process to ensure the consistency, reliability and actionable insights. Now, there is a selection of scenarios which are designed to test the specific emotional intelligence competencies like stress, interpersonal conflict, demonstrating empathy in the customer interaction. So, in the observation framework and then in the observation process, the reporting and feedback, and of course the strengths, the emotional competencies consistently demonstrated, the areas of improvement, that is behavioral patterns that require development. The feedback is often presented in combining with the development plans and the coaching of the recommendations which are given by the observer role and the assessment process. Now, during the exercise, one participant, Sarah, maintains a composure and uses a calm, respectful language, scoring very high in emotional intelligence. Interrupts the employees and focuses on solving the issue without fully acknowledging their feelings, scoring low in empathy. Observers note that while Sarah excels at staying composed under the pressure, she needs to improve her ability to validate and address others' emotional concerns also. So, what is the action plan which is recommended for Sarah? It is for empathy, training and listening workshops. So, that is going to make a difference. She knows how to manage herself, but she does not know how to address others' feelings. So, the action plan is a targeted intervention of keeping the training in which he is good in active listening workshops are recommended for him. Now, the observer rated assessments in the customer service training. A company trains their customer service representatives to handle the emotionally charged interactions with dissatisfied customers. Now, the observer process, observer evaluates the employee during the role playing exercises where a customer expresses the frustration over a delayed order and the employee must address the concern and resolve the issue calmly. So, the observer evaluation, observer assess the issue, empathy is acknowledging the customer frustration. So, the approaches are emotional regulation, conflict resolution and an observer notes. That is, one employee excels in managing the composure but the struggles to convey the empathy leading to customer dissatisfaction. So, observer recommend personalization coaching to improve the empathetic communication. So, we have seen as of now there are some targeted interventions which really help after the assessment and the measurement is done, and these targeted assessments will really help in the improvement of that particular case. And now coming on to the real world applications. The corporate leadership development. See, the observer evaluates that the leader or emotional intelligence during the simulations like strategic decision making under the pressure or the conflict resolution exercises. The outcome is that the feedback highlights the gap in empathy or emotional regulation, guiding the leader some training program. Now, the observer assesses the healthcare, provides the ability to manage their emotions and demonstrate an empathy during the patient interactions. Now, the insights which lead to improved patient care through the targeted emotional training programs and the trainings. So, observers evaluate the teacher classroom management skills, focusing on their ability to handle the student emotions and foster a very positive learning environment. The outcomes is that the feedback informs the professional development plans, emphasizing inclusive and emotional response teaching. Observers assess that the emotional EI during the mock customer interaction, personalized coaching enhances the emotional regulation and empathetic communication. Now, coming on to the advantages of observer rated assessments. It provides an unbiased perception on emotional intelligence based on observed behavior. So, the real time evaluation focus on behavioral patterns and the customizable framework. It captures how individuals apply emotional competencies in the real world scenarios and focus on the behavioral patterns, which identifies the recurring behavior that self-reports or peer feedback might overlook. The customizable framework assessments can be tailored to the specific competencies and organizational needs. That is, actionable insights, that is, the detailed feedback helps the individual develop the targeted strategies for improvement. Now, there are some challenges of the observer about the rated assessment. The accuracy and the reliability of the assessment depend on the observer training and ability to evaluate the behavior objectively. There is a time intensive also. The observer need to dedicate time to evaluate the scenarios, analyze the behavior and compile the reports. The observers may bring their biases and interpretations into the evaluation process. Hiring and training the skilled observer, such as resource incentive. Now, coming on to the strategies to overcome these challenges. The first is comprehensive training for observers. Equip observers with the standardized tools, framework and examples to enhance the accuracy and objectivity. Use of multiple observers. Incorporate the feedback from multiple observers to mitigate the individual biases and ensure the reliability. Automated tools. It helps in combining the human observations and AI-powered tool to analyze the non-verbal cues, tone of the voice and emotional responses. The use of the well-defined framework to ensure the consistency in evaluation criteria and also the scoring. So, we can say here that observer-rated assessments, they are very powerful techniques for evaluating the emotional intelligence, which is offering the external validation, identifying the real-world behavior patterns. By focusing on the observable behavior in simulations, workplace, These assessments provide the actionable insights that drive the personal and the professional development, while challenges such as the resilience and observer express expertise and resource demand exist. So, implementing these strategies like standardized framework and comprehensive training can actually maximize their effectiveness. Observer rated assessments are indispensable in leadership development, customer service, healthcare, education, fostering emotional intelligence behavior that enhance the outcome across the diverse fields. Now coming on to the computer-based assessments. Computer-based assessments represents a cutting-edge approach to evaluate the emotional intelligence through the use of AI-driven platforms, interactive simulations, and digital analytical tools. Now, these assessments leverage the capabilities of technology to offer the scalable, objective, and the real-time evaluation of emotional competencies, making them particularly suited for the modern organizations and individual development needs. By analyzing the behavioral patterns, emotional response, and the decision-making process in a controlled and interactive environment. Now, these tools provide precise data-driven insights into the individual emotional intelligence. Now, this approach is becoming indispensable in domains like, the recruitment leadership, the customer service, education, where the understanding and improving the EI can actually lead to enhanced performance, better interpersonal relationship, and the stronger organizational outcomes. So, the computer-based assessments evaluate the emotional intelligence by using the digital platforms that collect and analyze the data for the participants' interactions in the simulated scenarios, gamified tasks, and real-time evaluations. Now, these are artificial intelligence, simulations, behavioral analytics, and how computer-based analytics work. So, the computer-based assessment follow a structured process like scenario development, realistic role specific scenario, and create to test the specific EI competencies like empathy and emotional regulation, how well a participant understand and responds to the other's emotions, ability to manage their own emotions during the high stakes stimulations, conflict resolution, that is effectiveness in resolving the interpersonal disagreement, stress management, that is the composure and decision making under pressure. Participants engage with the task or digital platform, including the role playing, video interviews, and the gamified activities. When you talk about the role playing simulations, interacting with the virtual agents or navigating with the hypothetical situations is important, responding to emotionally charged questions. Then, of course, the gamified activities, the completing challenges that measures the adaptability, decision making, and the stress management. There are some various data points which are collected during the assessment like the facial expressions, the voice tone, the speech patterns, the behavioral responses. So, these AI driven analytics, they process the collected data with the identifiable emotional states, behavioral trends and patterns. So, AI detects when a participant tone of a voice becomes defensive during a conflict or scenario. His facial expression identifies the signs of stress, impatience during a high pressure task, and the feedback and reporting, that is the results are compiled into a detailed reporting and the competencies where the participants excel. There are some development areas, actionable insights which are also pertinent to be mentioned here. The behavioral that need improvement and the specific recommendation for the training and the coaching. That is AI powered behavioral analysis, and it is scalable also. It allows the organizations to access the large grow simulations, reducing the time and resource requirement. Then it is a customer-fiable scenarios. The scenarios can be tailored to reflect the specific challenges and competencies relevant to the different roles or the industries. So, it is a real-time feedback which provides the instant insights into emotional performance, enabling the immediate intervention or coaching. It has to be effective and applicable. There are some mind tools, emotional intelligence quizzes also, which plays a very vital and a pertinent role, and what it does and how it does. Identifying the emotional resilience and decision making in the team leaders. It analyzes the voice tone, speech patterns during the phone interactions to measure their empathy and emotional engagement. The customer service, enhancing the quality of emotional engagement in the client facing roles, and recruitment scenarios during the AI powered assessments. A multi national companies, they uses the computer based assessment to evaluate the candidates for a managerial role. The goal is to identify the individuals with a high emotional intelligence who are who can lead effectively under the stress. The candidates participate in a virtual team conflict simulations where they mediate a disagreement between the two teams members with opposing viewpoints. The simulation records verbal and non-verbal responses. So AI analysis is about the facial recognition, voice analysis, behavior analysis, and giving the candidates an insight. It demonstrates the excellent emotional regulation, staying very calm and focused, but lacks empathy as they dismiss the concerns of the one party, whereas the candidate B exhibits a strong empathy by actively listening and validating both parties' emotions, but strongly and struggles to assert a very, very clear situation. So definitely we have to use these cases, these analysis, then organize certain training programs, use these cases and examples in the healthcare, in the reliability, and also helps us in scaling up to the next level, in which the context and the privacy issues are also involved. So we have to be very, very strategic in this regard, putting into place all the important security aspects also to be in place, so that there is no harming of anyone, and we are able to uphold the strengths and the weaknesses of all the people, and also we are able to tackle the real world time challenges also. And last but not the least, the organization used these EI assessments during the crisis, during a normal work, during the stress situations, and definitely all the training programs are taken up and they are made in this regard. Thank you very much.